Mr. Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Recently, a fellow Toastmaster asked me, "Where were you born?" I replied, "In India." He asked, "Which part?" To which I replied, "What do you mean, which part?" "Well, my whole body was born in India." Jokes aside, today I'm going to share with you some interesting facts about my birthplace, Lucknow. Lucknow is that one place which, when I think of, conjures up insurmountable joy and nostalgia in my heart. So let me take you to the journey from New Jersey to Lucknow. So the red dot indicated on the map of India here is Lucknow. Where it is located tells a story about the history of Lucknow. Towards 200 miles from the west is New Delhi, which was the hub of Mughal Empire in the 1500s. Towards the east is Calcutta, which was the home of the rising British Empire. So Lucknow kind of resided in between the dying Mughal Empire and the rising British Empire. It served as a center point of a lot of cultures, including the Mughal culture from the Persia, a lot of British culture, and also lots of Hindu culture. It was a city that, like Rome, represented the highest form of culture, including marvelous architecture, rich literature, poetry, and dance. Lucknow conjures up images of a society which, when we think of, still holds the legendary etiquettes in the way of their life. Talking about culture, this place is famous for chicken. Whether you eat it or wear it, I'm sure you will love either. Don't be confused. Chicken is a form of embroidery, a traditional form of embroidery that originated way back in India and is now well known around the globe. You don't have to go far to see what it looks like, because you can see in the attire that I'm wearing tonight. Now, coming to the chicken that we can eat. Lucknow is especially famous for its delectable chicken kebabs. Kebabs are a form of patties, which can be either made of chicken or beef. Lucknow is particularly loved for its meaty delights, and especially, I would say, tunde kebabs. The love affair between Lucknow and kebabs go back centuries in time. And historians believe that although minced meat was relished as a staple breakfast in the 14th century, it was only after the 17th century they saw a revolution of sorts. And we have a toothless king to thank for this. The story dates back to the 17th century. At the time, the Mughals ruled India, and they conferred a title called Nawab to their deputies across North India. Nawab would really mean a viceroy. So during that time, the kebabs were quite chewy and coarse in texture. But when Nawab Asif-ud-Daula came to power, things changed. This was a Nawab who took his food as seriously as his court affairs. But as the Nawab started aging, he started losing his teeth. But he would not let this come in between his love for food and his aging. So he ordered the chefs to make the softest kebabs without losing the flavor. Apparently, he also set up a contest where he offered royal patronage to anybody who would come up and rise to the challenge. Sure enough, the chefs in the city rose to the challenge and they came up with the softest kebab in the history of Lucknow. The most juicy, tender, and delicious kebabs that you can find around the world. Through generations, the recipe of these kebabs have improved, and now we have a name attached to these kebabs called the tunde kebabs. It is still believed that these kebabs are made out of 160 whooping different spices, and they are considered to be a family secret within the Nawabi culture. So food is literally taken seriously in this city. Going back to the love again that I have for this city, let me tell you an interesting story. So when I was getting married, we had a so-called marriage contract between my husband and I, where I asked him that I would want to visit my city at least once every year. There were no other options available in that section of the contract, so he had to take I agree and move on. So as a result, I go back to my city at least once every year to soak in the memory, love, happiness, and joy that this magical city has to offer. I recently read an intriguing quote in one of the articles, which read something like, "The accent of one's birthplace remains in the hearts and minds as in one's speech. Surely enough, the accent of Lucknow is embedded in my hearts and mind. And today, I hope you can hear it in my speech as well." Mr. Toastmaster.